Hi, hi. Oh, cheer.
Yeah, I forgot to mute the thing. So, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm really excited about today's topic because I think this is a perfect one, for this part of the year.
I'm doing super. Yeah. So
Yeah, and everybody is talking about super things, and I think it's perfect.
yeah.
Very I would say very specific about the what if concept and the what if methodology that we've been talking. So welcome everybody to this program. It's a pleasure just to welcome you here and talk about the curiosity. And let's get curious with Matt and I this afternoon. So Matt,
Hi, hi. Excited to get curious with you again. And again, like you said, this is a not just a kind of a current topic, but in many ways an evergreen topic or a topic that's always fun to get curious about when we start supering everything, if you will. Right? I don't know if that's a verb yet, but in a world of superheroes, like what if anything could be a superhero or at least have superpowers of some sort, right?
yeah, I'm sure it will be. It will be very, very soon because that's the beauty of language.
Yeah.
It is something that we are creating. And look, this is the Citizen Kankan. Actually, we love you.
He's actually a
He-
super educator. I would if someone asked me, who is Citizen. I've had the honor of communicating with him and following him for years now. But yeah, I would describe him as a super educator. So it's great to see. Yeah.
yeah, it's great to see you. And it's so nice having you today. So, of course, we are very open today to your questions and your comments. Of course, please just type down whatever you want to share with us. We'll be more than happy. So today, actually, let's get our handy. I remember a professor from the University, Missouri, and hey, let's get our hands dirty, my friend.
Oh,
So entrepreneurs, this has been like a fuzzy word over the last, I don't know, 10 years maybe. Everybody is talking about entrepreneurship. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. So pretty much, I would say at a very decent level, we all understand what is entrepreneurship about.
mhm.
But now let's get curious about entrepreneurship, because getting curious, it's going beyond, um, of course, using some tools from the what if curiosity based learning. So getting curious as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
I will say, is a superpower. It's a
Oh,
super
sure.
boost of entrepreneurship because it's not just about the outcome,
Mhm.
but focusing on the process of discovering things, of enjoying and being not quite a total believer on the traditional stuff, but actually is to be ready to test the water, the unknown waters. And
Mhm.
that's how maybe you will get into the process, not just becoming an entrepreneur when you already know, okay, this is the goal or this is the possible outcomes, but becoming a super entrepreneur, it's getting into despite the unknown results. And
Right.
that's one of the things that I would love to share, and we would love to hear from you guys. And of course, I would love to hear from you, Matt. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to kind of continue on with your thinking there, one of the things that I really like with this question as it relates to the what if methodology, specifically is just how people can pick it up and start using it right away, right? So the idea with this, I could just give you a quick little example of what we could do with this is what if you become a super entrepreneur? Well, before we, again, remember the goal is never to give us a specific answer, but is where can this question take us, right? So first we need to start thinking about what is an entrepreneur, or in this case, even what's a superhero, or what are the parts, or what are what makes it what it is. And it's interesting because entrepreneurs at the heart, regardless of what kind of entrepreneur they are, problem solvers. Yeah. And a lot of times we think of superheroes as being like crime fighters, and even though we could discuss, for example, well, what's the difference between problem solving and crime fighting, right? Like talk kind of like in a Venn diagram sort of way. What are the similarities and differences? And after we can have a discussion about that, or we can, we can further process those. That's the great thing about the curiosity based methodology is we have them where we can take them and we can pause, or we can go deep in any of these cases, right? But then the other case is to look at superheroes. Like, what are the characteristics of superheroes, or what are similarities that they have? And this is an example of how the curiosity comes in. Is, no matter whether it's a one-on-one or, we got thousands of people at the same time, all you have to do is ask everybody, who's your favorite superhero? And even if you're not a huge, fanboy, I'm not a huge superhero fan, but like you mentioned, like it's impossible to live today without being aware of different superheroes. So, let them think. And then again, this is where it becomes personalized. The learning's personalized because everybody isn't just going to have a favorite superhero, but they're also going to be their favorite for a very unique or special reasons, or personalized reasons. But once you go there, then you ask them like, what's something, you could ask them all kinds of questions like, what do you like best about this, or what's a question you would ask this superhero if you were having dinner with them, right? And then again, you're like, wait, isn't this about entrepreneurship? No, remember, it's about curiosity. But you start pulling these different things out, and as you pull these different things out from what entrepreneurship is to what superheroes are to what makes you like this particular superhero, now we've got all these parts and we can build them back together, right? So we can put them together to how that pertains to entrepreneurship. So now that you know these parts that make the superhero, that, again, your specific one that you're curious about, those parts that make that superhero the superhero aren't just parts now. What if they become tools for your business? Whether it's an idea for a business you're growing or a business you already have. Well, for example, I'm big on certain things at the moment, but like Aquaman. Well, Aquaman is like, part fish and part human, and he lives underwater. Well, what if you as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, as an educator could, what if you were to go 50-50 hybrid with an animal, the animal world, or a specific animal or something? How, now we talk about biomimicry and all these other things we talk about frequently, like, but that's just something that's personal to me. That's what I mean. Everybody would have a very different curiosity, which would lead them, like it led me to biomimicry, but for somebody else, it may lead them to time travel or to any other things. I mean, believe it or not, you're more of a tech person than I am, but like a lot of the technology we have today were superpowers, not just, decades ago, if not years ago, right? So,
yeah, that's a perfect example. Because usually we used to take many things for granted in our life. Mm-hmm. Today, and when I'm saying today, I'm not just saying the 17th of September of the 2021. When I'm saying today, that today could be 100 years ago or 50 years in the future. So the thing is, if we take things for granted today, someday what we are doing today was not even on the imagination of anybody. And if we were able to go back in a time machine, to 50 years ago, just 50, not to get crazy, just 50 years ago, and we say, hey, there will be a technology, a tool, where you can just talk with somebody in other part of the world, and at the same time, everybody with just a simple tool that will be called the internet and a very cheap monthly fee, you will be able to watch all together without any type of restrictions. And what? No, you're kidding. Because that was like thinking in a superpower, the super communication, but today it's a reality. Yeah. And the thing is, when we have the tools, you said a perfect example, it's how do we use the tools, I like to remember, and I don't know if this is too American, but I like to remember the great American hero. I don't recall the name of the TV show. What was the name of the show? It was this guy with the red suit and the black cape. And actually, he didn't know how to use the The what is the name? Okay, I will get the name.
How old is the show? Because I may know that, but
I think it's from the 80s.
That's all right. So, Real American Hero.
The Real American Hero, yeah. And actually,
I was a young kid watching that. Yeah,
he didn't know how to use it.
Yep.
Even though he has a lot of powers, and in the process, actually, of knowing how to use the powers, he becomes a superhero, and that it's as I said, it's a perfect example of a super entrepreneur, because it's not just to know how I will use the tools, but trust that the tools that you are knowing and the tools that you are getting prepared onto are the tools that will take you to the big step of becoming a super entrepreneur, and that's of course and this is a solid real question. Jay Sparks, hey Jay, hi. We would love to hear from you guys. If you want to share your comments, that will be on
favorite superheroes too. I'm just kind of curious who people like, or even if not their favorite superhero, just who an entrepreneur could learn from, right? Like who would you suggest as a, I mean, it doesn't have to be favorites. It's like, this may not be my favorite, but I think for an entrepreneur, they should really look into this, particular superhero. I think that'd be, and like, again, citizen here, ask your students if you could have the superpowers of any superhero to be a better student, who would you choose, right? I think you might find some interesting answers about your students. I'm trying to think. You mentioned process. That's what it was. The other thing that I find fascinating too, or even empowering for entrepreneurs and educators out there, when you kind of superimpose the superhero's life, or image, if you whatever, onto your own experience as a startup entrepreneur or as an educator of some sort, is to take comfort in the fact that no matter how powerful of a superhero, they've all gone. It's all a process, right? I mean, they have to learn how to use it. Like you mentioned the with your example, they have to learn that they even have powers, or they have to use the powers. But there's also there seems to be a very set format or process that they go through. And I think
I love this one.
Yeah.
So Jay Sparks, Doctor Strange. Nice. He messes with things he doesn't understand. Yeah, he is.
That's exactly what
happened. And finds attitude there and ends up saving the world multiple times. Yeah, that's a perfect example. And I too love this guy as well. And I like Doctor Strange, because this is what this about. Okay, you have the power. You are enjoying and living the process of developing some tools that actually it's later on the process that you will find the answer. It's not before getting into the process that you will get the answer of what can you do in the future with these tools, with this set of tools. And as well, Citizen Cancan, he is here. One thing that I have to learn from the past years is to connect with other people and learn from them, and by that you learn from another and learn the best way to use the tool. That's, hey man, I think this is for you.
Yeah, no, and it's so true too, because back to what you were saying about technology that didn't exist before, this technology has given CanCam and others really the power to connect with people all over the world in a way that was impossible, not even 50 years ago, even 20, 30 years, even less, right? But it's also interesting because like with, like the hero's journey is one of the first stages is refusal of the call. And then, eventually you accept it. But it's fascinating how many superheroes, like what CanCam does in terms of connecting with people all over. He doesn't have to do that, right? This is like a superpower that he's kind of taken on in a kind of heroic way, if you think about it, right? And it's kind of interesting to think of how we can use these different technologies, and you do have the superpower of connecting. Yeah. And CanCam, it's nice because I do know him. He doesn't just connect himself, but he connects other people around the world. So it is kind of cool to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is one of the superpowers for him, just
Exactly.
to be able to connect people. Yeah, because at some point it will be for you so natural that you forget. Okay, oh my God, that might be a superpower for me, and I'll put it into use to benefit everybody. And that's when you are in the process of becoming a super entrepreneur. When you are putting the tool that you have, not just for your personal benefit, but in creating a better world. You know, I used to say this in every single show: is how do you create a better world, and how do you improve your community, and in that way, everybody is getting a huge benefit out of it. But the thing is in the process. So basically, how do you become an entrepreneur? It's about the process. But the question is, do you want to become just an entrepreneur, or do you accept this? Actually, I would say this is a challenge that we are putting today to you: is what if you become not just an entrepreneur, if you become a super entrepreneur, an entrepreneur that in the process of being an entrepreneur develop a set of skills beyond, I would say, beyond the average, and trusting in the process that if you put your work and the work of the people that is working with you, someday it doesn't have to be tomorrow, the next year, in 5, in 10, maybe it could be in 20, I don't know, but someday you'll be the super entrepreneur. So please, if you accept the challenge, what if you become an entrepreneur? Just write it down. If you have a piece of paper, just click pause in this video and just write it down and think, hey, what if I become a super entrepreneur that is beyond the knowing of the goals that we already have? It's like in a preview episode that we did on the last season, is what if you ask the questions that actually you do not know if you'll be able to find the answer. That's even cooler, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, and also listening to you here, just either for entrepreneurs, like early stage entrepreneurs, for them in the future, or for later stage, more successful entrepreneurs now, it's interesting thinking about Batman or Bruce Wayne as an example. And what if, because Bruce Wayne's interesting because he's a billionaire, right? And honestly, for entrepreneurs, if we're being realistic, who could you get the most from? Bruce Wayne, because isn't it that the things entrepreneurs want the most or need the most is like, I need financing, I need money, I need revenue, right? But it is interesting. So what if all of your revenue, financial needs are met, right? Who do you become? Like what kind of entrepreneur do you become? Like, all right, your big bad goal of getting, raising funding or becoming, getting in the black and finally becoming profitable and yada, yada, yada. Now you achieve that, right? But not only who are you with that behind you, but you mentioned community before too. What do you do in the dark, right? What do you do for your community, for your customers, whatever, that isn't for your profit, but is truly anonymous might be too strong of a word, but you're not doing it for for your business, let's say, but like what for the better good of the community. What are you doing? Not for the praise, not for the attention, but so I think when you and again, my understanding of superheroes is very shallow. So, but I from what I know about the Bruce Wayne Batman, I think that'd be fascinating for how entrepreneurs would fit into that world.
Yeah, do you want to read these ones?
Jay, yeah, these are great. I think Jay Sparks says, I think of the quote, wisdom is planting a seed that will never rest in the shade of. And I like to think that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, are you helping those yet to come? Are you being the giant and offering your shoulders for others to stand on? Exactly. Yeah. How do you give back to keep, because if entrepreneurship is like that garden, right? That's what makes it different from these other, parts of the capitalism, right? Like there's something that could be special or unique about entrepreneurship. And what are you doing to ensure that The future is a seed. Yeah, I love this. I love this quote. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know this as well. The best entrepreneurs out there, they're all mentors, right? They're always giving back in some way. They're always, and they're not doing it for money or for show, and it's usually secret, right? It's not. Yeah. Thanks for sharing this, Jake. This is
thank you. Yeah, and this makes me think. One example that actually is from this week.
Yeah.
I got an email on the Tuesday this week from I would say from a friend. Mm-hmm. 10 years ago, we started a relationship as a vendor and a customer. Mm-hmm. And I was a consultant for this company. And when I started working with this company, for me was really amazing because this lady, I'll say her name, and if she's watching this video today or in 2 years or in 3 years, I should be surprised because she's the line that, oh my God, I don't want to be on public. But Dr. Hannah Solomon, she's the creator of a really cool device for taking care of your nose that is called Nasopure. And this Tuesday, I got an email that they just closed an M&A process, a merger and acquisition, by the largest, I would say, by the largest company in the world in this area of nasal care.
Nice.
And when I remember, okay, when I met Dr. Hannah, actually she was a lady just, I would say, almost the 60s, 60 something.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really learned to love about that lady, it's the one thing that she said every time in public, in private, and even on the labels of the products is first do no harm. Mm-hmm. And I remember 8 years ago when we were working together, we were talking about this company that today they just merged with this gold company. She was like, hey, Nestor, they've been in business for many years. I'm sure we have something to learn from them. Of course, we are trying to compete with big fish. And the thing is, anything that in the marketing department and anything that in the logistic department will be doing, please remember, first do no harm. It's not about winning just for the sake of winning. It's winning in the way of creating something better for the community and for the world. So basically, just to make the story short, in terms of entrepreneurship, she never commit into a fight with anybody. She was just doing the job, okay, thinking how to do it better, improving the tools, learning and studying and studying and studying. She is a never-ending learner. Like 15 years later, now she's merging and doing some operation of better acquisition with the largest company in the world in the area. And that's so nice. And I think it's a perfect example that actually it's not about how old you are. It's not about the entrepreneur cliche that is on the 20s, on the teens, on the 25, on the 30s, on the 40s. No, any time in your life, when you are clear about how to use your faith, I would say, on creating better things, and in the process becoming a super entrepreneur without any type of final goal, but just enjoying the process. Because when we talked with this beautiful lady 10, 12 years ago, she wasn't thinking about growing and selling the company. She was just thinking about, hey, first do no harm and try to get a better nose health with the people everywhere. And I think that's a perfect example. I'm so happy this week for this experience of a previous customer that I have. So I think that's the what if, you know, what if I just become better in something that I'm doing? What if I took this challenge and try to improve the lives? It's just going beyond the traditional ROI thing in the investment opportunities, you know?
Yeah, and just to add on that as you close, just quickly, is just to not just even be the superhero, but just as far as just the word super, like, you know, as I have an old college friend who used to say, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, don't be a half-ass entrepreneur or a half-ass teacher, or, you know, whatever you choose to do with your life. Don't just be good at it, be super at it, right? And I know it's easier said than done, but like I think you started at the beginning. It's like, you know, don't be an entrepreneur just, you know, for all these other reasons, but do it for reasons that make you happy or that make you satisfied, right? So if what you're doing doesn't, if you don't think you're capable of being super what you're currently doing, start this. And again, don't worry what age you are, like you're saying. Start searching for what it is you think you can not only do with your life, but be super at doing it. I think would be a good way to kind of start the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Matt, that was a beautiful episode today.
Yeah.
And I love actually when people are just sharing the thoughts on our I would say encounters or getting curious about
Yeah, it's great
topics
seeing people comment.
is really nice. So guys, if you be here the next Friday that you want to invite some other people, so please do. We'll be more than happy to take your questions, take your comments, and have and create out of this a conversation, because this is about getting curious. It's getting curious together and exploring the infinite pool of knowledge, you know, with where we are now. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Matt, so nice to see you again. Thank you.
Great seeing you. All right. Bye-bye.